In the quiet town of Beacon Hills, the night begins with a restless Scott Mccall, a high school student struggling with asthma and dreaming of stepping out of the shadows. His best friend, Styles Stalinsky, shows up uninvited, brimming with excitement. Two joggers found a body in the woods, Styles reveals, unable to contain his curiosity. The boys, both seeking adventure in their otherwise mundane lives, decide to investigate despite the danger. The woods are eerie and dark as they search for clues. Suddenly, Scott hears a noise, and before he knows it, he is attacked and bitten by a mysterious creature. His inhaler is lost in the chaos, and he barely escapes. The boys return home, shaken but unsure of what really happened. Scott dismisses the incident, though the bite on his side begins to ache. The next day, life goes on, or so it seems. At school, Scott's world changes when he meets Allison Argent, the new girl in town. She's charming and kind, and Scott finds himself drawn to her. Meanwhile, the buzz about the body in the woods spreads through the halls. The mystery grows darker as Styles shares what he's learned. The police only found half the body, and animal hair was discovered at the scene. Scott begins noticing strange changes within himself. His once crippling asthma disappears, and his senses sharpen to inhuman levels. On the lacrosse field, he moves with incredible speed and reflexes, earning a spot on the starting lineup. Styles, ever the investigator, starts piecing the clues together, jokingly suggesting that Scott might be a werewolf. But as the full moon approaches, Scott realizes Styles might not be joking after all. The situation takes a turn when Scott encounters Derek Hale, a brooding and mysterious figure whose family died in a tragic fire years ago. Derek warns Scott about the dangers he's now facing, hinting that he knows more about the creature that bit him. The bite is a gift, Derek says cryptically, though Scott sees it as anything but. That evening, as the full moon rises, Scott's life spirals further into chaos. The strange sensations he's been experiencing, his heightened senses, extraordinary reflexes, and newfound strength intensify. At first, he brushes it off as adrenaline or perhaps some bizarre side effect of the bite, but deep down, he knows something isn't right. The ominous words from Derek Hale echo in his mind. The bite is a gift. During lacrosse practice, Scott astonishes everyone with his incredible performance. His coach, who once relegated him to the bench, is now praising him as the team's secret weapon, but Scott isn't enjoying the attention. He's overwhelmed, struggling to process his rapid transformation. Styles watches from the sidelines, his usual humor giving way to concern. He tries to convince Scott to face the truth about what's happening, but Scott resists, desperate to cling to his old life. Meanwhile, Scott's growing connection with Allison provides a rare moment of comfort. She invites him to a party after the upcoming lacrosse game, and Scott agrees, eager for a sense of normalcy. Yet, as the full moon draws closer, his emotions grow erratic. He starts to feel uncontrollable surges of anger and aggression. Even Allison's presence, usually calming, now seems to heighten his turmoil. The night of the party arrives, and Scott struggles to keep his instincts in check. When he finally meets Allison, he's determined to make a good impression. For a while, it seems like things might go smoothly. But as the moonlight floods the night sky, Scott feels his control slipping. His senses go into overdrive, every sound and scent amplified to an unbearable degree. When a minor altercation with a fellow student escalates, Scott barely restrains himself from lashing out with superhuman force. Panicking, Scott flees the party, leaving Allison confused and hurt. He runs into the woods, his breathing ragged as his body begins to change. Claws extend from his fingertips, his senses sharpen further, and his vision blurs into an animalistic haze. It's no longer just a bite, it's a transformation. Scott has become the very thing he feared, a werewolf. Derek appears in the woods, his presence commanding and calm in stark contrast to Scott's terror. He explains that Scott's new abilities are a double-edged sword. You can either control the wolf, or it will control you, Derek warns. He offers to teach Scott how to manage his new nature. But Scott is reluctant to trust him, still viewing him as a threat. The episode concludes with Scott returning home, exhausted and overwhelmed. Stiles is waiting for him, armed with research on werewolves and a determined attitude. "We'll figure this out," Stiles promises, his loyalty unwavering. Scott, though terrified of what's to come, takes solace in his best friend's support. As the camera pans to the glowing full moon, it's clear that this is only the beginning of Scott's journey into a world far more dangerous and complicated than he ever imagined.